Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Nutty St. Very seasonal. So we're going to start. Shaker with ice. To that, we're going to add a tablespoon of milk. 2 ounces bourbon. 1 ounce hazelnut liqueur. Delicious. Smells good already. Eggnog. 6 ounces of eggnog. This is going to be boozy, boys and girls. This might make 2 servings, actually. Some bitters. Few dashes of bitters, 4 or 5. Cinnamon. Eighth of a teaspoon. And then some nutmeg. 1 dash of nutmeg. Dash. And then, of course, we shake. Next, we pour into the glass of our choice. And there you have it, boys and girls. The Nutty St. Nick. It's pretty good. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
If your vision of St. Nicholas is a jolly old man who leaves candy in your shoes, this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, the English dub movie Saint, will rock your idealistic world. Get ready to meet a slightly more dark and evil St. Nick, one who uses an indiscriminate, murderous rampage to exact revenge on anyone within striking distance. But don't worry, it only happens on December 5th when the moon is full. So be good, check that lunar cycle, and watch your back. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg,
Hey, I'm Karen.
and welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed, Karen. Indeed. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm good, Karen. Thanks for asking.
That's what we do.
That should be a square. Is that a square on the bingo card?
It's what we do.
That's what we do.
I don't know. I can add it.
That's like the free square.
Yes. Unless someday you forget to ask me how I am.
It's true. Do you have all your Christmas shopping done, Karen?
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
Still have more to do?
Yeah. I'm kind of stuck on what to get you, Greg.
Me?
Yeah. I was thinking
Karen.
I need a couple stocking stuffers for you.
I'm very simple to buy for, Karen. Don't
Are
you know
you,
that
though?
by now? Absolutely.
So you have mine all picked out?
Yes, Karen, I do actually.
No. So then you won't need the list that I've made.
List?
I've got 5 of my favorites stocking stuffers that I'm going to put out for everyone who's listening to take a look at.
I'll pick 5 as well then.
For me? So I
Sure.
have 10. 5 for you and 5 for me. Hey, if you're struggling with what you might want to get someone who likes horror films and might like the same things Greg and I like, we're going to put lists out there
And
for
who
you.
doesn't?
I know. Don't you want to be one of the cool kids? And if you buy one of these things through our links, we could get a penny.
A penny or maybe 2.
Depends on how many people buy stuff.
Yeah. So there will be a post on our website, a blog post. We'll have 5 stocking stuffers from Karen and 5 stocking stuffers from yours truly.
I think we can put it on Facebook too.
Yeah, sure we can.
Just have to figure out who should be first, mine or yours.
Well, you, of course, Karen. Women first, always. I'm a gentleman.
That's news to me. Just a few suggestions from Greg and I.
Because we're givers.
Yeah, if you're struggling and can't think of what you might want to get someone, these are Scary Spirits Podcast approved.
Yeah. And there are things we've mentioned in previous episodes, lots of them.
Or have
purchased ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we have all of them ourselves. I just got my 2024 calendar in the mail today, Karen.
Ooh.
I can't wait to turn the page and see who's the next monster.
If you don't like them, just slice off the previous month and the same one stays up.
So we'll be looking for that on a blog post or Facebook post coming soon.
Check it out.
Karen, I believe this film was it your choice?
It was.
And what film have you chosen for us this week?
It goes by many names, Greg.
I only know of 2, so
But that's
enlighten
2.
me.
Well, it's from 2011, and you can find it as Saint Nick or Saint or Sint, right?
Yes.
When you look on Amazon, and you can find the link on our website.
It's actually 2010.
Oh, sorry.
It was released in the States on DVD in 2011.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected yet again. But when you go to rent it on Amazon, you find it as Saint English dubbed, but the DVD that's next to it, that you could purchase is Saint Nick.
Why did you choose this film, Karen?
Well, Greg, when this podcast comes out, it will be December 6th.
Okay. Well, that's fitting.
Which December 5th is officially St. Nicholas Day, but the kids wake up on December 6th to the toys and candy in their shoes. Yeah. So if you wake up on December 6th, congratulations. You were a good person. If you don't make it, might be your own fault.
Okay, so we're celebrating St. Nicholas Day.
Yes, we are. And we'll talk about that when we get into the movie. Ask,
do we have a cocktail to go along with this film, Karen?
We do, and it's delicious.
And what would that be?
It's called the Nutty St. Nick. It's from danalicious.com.
And how would one make such a concoction?
I'm going to give you the instructions for a 2-serving cocktail, which I believe Greg made for just himself. But I halved each of these.
I have 1.5. I still
No.
have some left in my shaker
Not for long. It's going to be
for
watered
a
down.
midnight snack.
Yes. Did you take the ice out? It's going to be
No,
diluted.
it'll be fine.
2 ounces of bourbon, 1 ounce of hazelnut liqueur, 6 ounces of eggnog, 1 tablespoon of milk, 4 to 5 dashes of walnut bitters, which I did not do, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a dash of nutmeg. You're going to add all the ingredients plus some ice to a shaker and shake vigorously. Pour it into the glass of choice, garnish with a straw and a star anise pod. Serve and enjoy.
I think where I went wrong was the glass of my choice.
Oh, is it too small?
No, I chose for tall, like a tall glass. So
It looks like a milk glass.
yeah, well, that's kind of what they had on the website, I think. Something similar.
They had like a tall, skinny one, I
Right.
think. So it fit
that's
in
what I
there
was
nicely.
looking for. Yeah, that was what I was going for.
I don't have glasses like that.
What kind of eggnog did you use, Karen?
I found a small bottle.
Oh,
I can't remember the name of it. Hanover's maybe or something like that. And I buy eggnog every year because I like 1 glass of eggnog in December, but then I never drink the rest of it and no one else here drinks it. So I waste a lot of it. So I paid it was more expensive than it should have been, but at least it will be used. What did you use?
I used Evan Williams eggnog, Karen.
Oh, that was already spiked?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, what's in that? Is it bourbon? That's Evan Williams, right?
Evan Williams, yeah. It's made with Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, blended whiskey, rum, and brandy, Karen.
Wow.
Looks like it's 30 proof. But
Does it taste?
It's stronger than your regular eggnog, I bet.
Oh, sure. Is it tasty all on its own?
I didn't try it.
You didn't?
No, but I will.
Oh.
I did try the hazelnut liqueur on its own. I did a shot of it. It's good.
Yeah.
I can taste it in here since I took a shot of it and I know what it tastes like.
Yeah, I might look for more drinks with that. It's reminiscent of Di Serono, but a slightly different flavor.
Yeah, it's slightly different because it's hazelnut and not almond.
Yes, but it has the same essence.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes, Karen. I have a feeling I have a lot of alcohol in this drink, but it tastes delicious. Especially like the cinnamon and the nutmeg.
Yeah, it's good.
Goes well with the nog.
It's very holiday.
Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own, Karen?
Of course.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film for us?
I do. I looked a little on the web, couldn't find anything. So I just went with what Amazon has as the description, which is sort of a synopsis, but it describes the film. It's a horror comedy that puts a dark twist on the legend of St. Nicholas. A murderous Santa Claus with claws goes on a rampage under the December 5th full moon. I don't know where the claws came from, but...
Yeah, the one I have is the legendary St. Nicholas comes to life under a full moon and terrorizes Amsterdam by trying to kill as many Dutch children as possible at Christmas time.
There you go. That's better.
All right, Karen, anything in this film that you really enjoyed?
I thought the story was interesting. I've not seen anything like that, never heard of anything like that pertaining to St. Nicholas anyway. It's reminiscent of Krampus a little bit.
Yeah, I kept waiting for Krampus to make an appearance, but he never did.
No. For some reason, I liked the way it was filmed, and I can't really explain it. It was almost like a video game sometimes, but not. I don't know. I liked the pace of it. I liked, the gore was good, I thought. They got me with a couple jump scares. I didn't really time check. I enjoyed watching it.
I didn't either.
I thought it was good. There's of course sequel potential, which I do enjoy. I thought St. Nicholas looked especially menacing. I liked his makeup. I mean, he got burned in the beginning of the film, and he looks
Right.
burned.
Yeah, so the whole rest of the film, he looks
But he was
grotesque.
menacing even before that.
I didn't
Just
think so.
coming.
He looked like a sweet
Oh,
old man.
no. See, you don't know. He looked like the ghost singer, kind of, with his outfit.
I did notice it looked like he had an upside down cross on his hat.
He did, and on his cape, too. There was good shadow work a couple of times that I liked. There was decent acting. I wasn't distracted by anyone thinking that they were horrible, which happens sometimes in these movies. The dubbing didn't bother me. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't Godzilla, you know?
No, it isn't.
I thought it was going to be distracting. It wasn't. I didn't really notice it. Only once in a while, but hardly ever did I even notice it. Did you like anything about it?
Yeah, it was a good story. Like I said, the effects were okay, weren't great. But I kept thinking, well, it's 2010. It's 2010. You know, we should say this is like a Dutch film, right?
Yes.
To begin with. So that's why it's dubbed in English.
It's our first dubbed movie.
I guess we could have watched it with subtitles or whatever. But yeah, I liked the St. Nicholas character. I liked the Frank character. I liked the Lisa character. I would say they were good actors, but it was hard. It's hard for me to say, because the dubbing distracted me a little bit. It just didn't sound like that. It didn't sound like they looked. I could, you know what I mean?
Well, that's later, yes. But I will say it was interesting to kind of learn a tradition from other countries. If you've never heard of it, they certainly let you know what the traditions kind of are and what the processes are.
Do you think the whole full moon thing is a real thing?
No.
Okay.
I couldn't find it, but that doesn't mean it's not. I don't know. I don't think so.
For this movie?
Yeah, because Frank was unaware of the horror of it all. They only knew of the benign Saint Nicholas, not the other traditions. And they don't mention Krampus or anything.
No, it's kind of like this. Every full moon, he takes the place of Krampus, right? Basically.
If it's December 5th full moon.
Yes. Because he basically takes the children away, just like Krampus does.
Yeah. It's very similar. I don't know. Maybe in Europe there is that darker side, but I thought that's where Krampus was from, is that area. So
I agree.
I don't really know.
Yeah, I think I was all just made up for the film. Yeah, well, in Wikipedia it says the story distorts the popular tradition of Sinterklaas, which I guess is St. Nicholas.
Yes, it is.
And portrays him as a ghost who murders large number of people when his annual celebration night coincides with a full moon. So they're distorting the story or tradition.
Well, because usually he's nice.
Anything else you really enjoyed?
Not particularly, but I did enjoy the whole film.
I thought the stunt work was well done.
You've not really commented on that before.
Lots of fights, and they were pretty well staged, choreographed.
They didn't go in one at a time.
No, lots of gore. Actually, the less gory the injury was, the better it was. Like decapitations and amputations and all that kind of stuff weren't great, but running a guy through, hitting him with an axe and just chopping up his face, that was good. Even good makeup on the wounds that were shown later. Yeah, good heads too. Good heads that rolled around.
Yeah, for the time especially.
Yeah, they were pretty well done. There were a couple good scares, I think.
I jumped a couple times, but I always do. So
yeah, I especially like the one of little Timmy in his bedroom when he draws the smiley face
that was a good effect. There are some good shots. Like there are some inventive shots and some different camera angles. I kind of expected
it was coming, that something was going to pop up in that, something was going to happen.
With the smiley face, that was cool.
Yeah, when it turned and saw, that was a good shot. It was.
I like the one where he's looking through the binoculars, which I knew was going to happen. Where he comes up and then because if if someone's that close to you, they're not in focus in the binoculars anyway, but it's still a cool effect where you're looking through and then you see a face and then you're gone. I know it's not original necessarily, but I always like that one. It always makes me very tense when somebody's looking in binoculars.
I liked the scenic, the setting, the scenic portions of it too. All those old
those are the ones
Dutch
that I liked.
homes.
And the cathedral and even the boat. I know it was CGI or some sort of effect, but it just looked cool.
The schooner, yeah.
Yeah, like you knew it wasn't real. You could tell, but
the atmosphere. It was good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Lots of Froggy's fog.
Yes.
And snow. Anything you didn't enjoy so much?
One thing that distracted me, and I think you sort of alluded to it, was the voices didn't match up all the time. The guy who was Van Dyke, they almost made him sound like Lurch or something. It was just very distracting. I just felt like, I don't know. I realized they were trying to make him sound like a tough guy in the muscle, but it went too far for me. Other than that, there are some, like, again, where I'm always expecting someone, you see two of your friends get killed, you're going to be emotional, especially the way that he saw them killed. And he just sits in the police station just being like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, they don't even, you would be like, oh my God, my friend, he saw one guy's friend his head roll over and the other one has a sword through his face. You would think, I don't know. That always is weird to me that they don't really react. Even the ending, when there was all this murder and chaos, and it's like, really, that's your response? Okay, I guess. I don't know. Just to me, they can't waste time on that, having distraught characters, but it's just weird to me that they just sit there saying, oh yeah, they just killed my two friends. Like, you would be a little more. He did, I think, cry once or something, but I don't think it was over that. I don't know what it was, but he's seeing multiple murders and mayhem in front of him, and just, I don't know, maybe that's what happens. Maybe you just shut down because there's so much.
Well, I think part of it is because I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass because he is being attacked at the same time as his friends. He doesn't have time to stop and mourn
in 10 minutes when they arrested him for all the murders.
And then you're being questioned by the cops.
I would think I would still be crying.
To mourn.
Unless he's in shock, which you would think you would be in shock. Yeah. I don't know. It's a nitpicky little thing, and I totally get why they can't do it, but it just always seems weird to me. But really, there wasn't much I didn't like. I mean, it's funny. You alluded to it, and it was something else, that the atmosphere, you said it's very Amsterdam-y.
Because it's Amsterdam.
Yeah, but people riding bikes in the snow, that's totally what it is.
Scooters?
No, like
and
bicycles. Yeah. Everything's on bicycles. It's not that I didn't like that. I just, for some reason, thought of it, but it was very true to the city. Is there anything you didn't like?
Well, as I already alluded to, English dubbing, I found it sometimes distracting. Not because it was bad so much, but it didn't sound like I think the people should sound, and just the audio quality wasn't right. It just, you know what I mean?
See, I didn't notice it. I just didn't watch their mouths, so I wouldn't get.
It sounded recorded in a studio, which it was. You know what I mean? It didn't have the same audio quality as you would filming someone in a street or in a room.
Right, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't notice it, but
ambience or whatever.
It does make sense.
I guess the best way to compare it is to when CDs first came out, the comparison between analog and digital. And we get a lot of it now with vinyl and digital, right? Lots of people like the vinyl because it's warmer and digital is colder. And that's it kind of bothered me.
Okay.
Sounded mechanical, I guess. I don't know. As I said, the CGI wasn't great. I made this note when the Saint Nicholas character is galloping on the rooftops of Amsterdam, right? And it's clearly CGI. And if they did it now, I'm sure it'd be a lot better. But it was 2010, so it wasn't bad for the time.
No, that's the part that it didn't bother me though. I liked the colors or something. I liked something about it, but you're right, it was obvious, but I still liked it.
Well, I like the scenic portion of it. Like I said, like the galloping
but
down
it looked like
the
a video
rooftops
game,
of
or it looked like
Amsterdam. It did look like a video game.
That's what it looked
exactly.
like,
CGI.
but a good one. But a good one. And I didn't,
a good one
me,
for 2000
right.
and the early 2000s, maybe. Yeah.
I thought, there was just something about it that I liked.
And it was kind of a far-fetched ending, I think. I didn't really understand what the hell he was doing with the boat.
Well, obviously it didn't work.
Well, it did work.
Well, because everybody wasn't on it. That's why.
Yes. Spoiler alert. He blew up the boat. But I was just trying to figure out, okay, what's he doing with that big? I didn't know what the barrels were or whatever he found. I think it was red, and I think it said flammable, but I had no idea what it was. And I thought he was going to, I don't know what he was going to do with it. And then once I saw what he did with it, I'm like, really? Okay, sure.
Again, video game like.
Yeah, very, very much so. Or I keep going back to Batman. Luckily, I have my
yes.
my utility belt.
It's the backyard again. Well, isn't that convenient?
Yeah. I bought my.
Well, and especially there were some things like
my bat repellent.
Right. There's 2 minutes left on the timer. Yeah, and he's finding these things. Timers and he's tying
always,
them.
Yeah, they are.
And I'm like, there's no way.
That's just silly. I don't know why they keep doing that shit. Why don't you just make it 10 minutes instead of 4?
Because you're walking around finding things and you're like, this is
jumping from boat to boat. And
you're not going to do that in 4 minutes.
And then the guy's still trying to explain to him what to do, giving him instructions. And okay, yeah, whatever. That part I wasn't a big fan of. I guess they're trying to build, anxiety and whatever, making people anxious. There's only 2 minutes left. What are you going to do?
Yeah, but once he obviously passes 2 minutes, you're like, come on. And I thought there was enough explosives to blow up Amsterdam. And then it just blows up that ship and a little bit of dirt falls on him. I mean, it was anticlimactic a little bit.
Yeah, but you don't really know what's in those barrels. So we had explosives. 2 barrels of explosives that were meant to blow up the ship, but then he added another barrel to propel it across the bay. Which I don't, that's what I'm saying. What the fuck was that? Rocket fuel? It just happened to be right there by the pier.
Yep.
Okay.
That no one ever uses anymore.
Yeah.
So it just happened to be sitting there.
Right. And you think it was that potent that it exploded when he poked a hole in it with that stick he found on the other boat.
The flare, yeah.
No, he lit it with a flare, but first he had to break a hole in it.
Oh, with the spear-like thing.
Yeah, spear-like thing. They had on the other boat, I guess, for pulling other boats to them or whatever, docking.
Or pulling in life preservers too.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay. What kind of cocktail rating you want to give it, Karen?
I think it's a strong 3.
Yeah, I agree. It's a 3. I don't know if it's a strong 3, but it's a 3.
I say that because I did not time check constantly on it.
I didn't either.
And that means to me,
even being rushed, I didn't.
It kept me interested enough that that's a strong 3 to me, that I didn't get distracted. I mean, I did have to get up and do things and come back, but and they do call it a horror comedy, and there are a couple jokes in there, but it's not.
I wouldn't call it a horror comedy.
No, I mean, there are tension relieving jokes and some stupid jokes too.
Those are stupid.
Yeah, but
so I think Thanksgiving would be a more horror comedy than this.
I guess, but maybe we didn't get the jokes, or maybe they added stupid jokes in. Maybe they were better in Dutch than they were in English. I don't know. But I wouldn't call it that. So I guess that's something I didn't really like in the description. I wouldn't call it a horror comedy. It's certainly, I would call like a horror comedy. I would call, what's the
Shaun of
Zombie
the
Land?
Dead.
Yeah, or Zombie Land or something. Those are horror comedies to me. This is
An American Werewolf in London was a horror comedy, I think. Would you like to hear a review from the time, Karen?
Of course. What does the Critics Corner say?
This was a review published in Fangoria magazine, April 24th, 2011. And I will paraphrase somewhat. I'll read about half of it. To clear up one key issue right off the bat, Sint, the new movie from veteran Dutch writer-director Dick Maas, may be a holiday horror film, but it's not a Santa slasher flick. The villain is St. Nicholas of ancient European folklore, with an early line of dialogue distinguishing him from Father Christmas. The pair of lengthy opening set pieces introducing St. Nicholas are pretty great, veering from vivid big-scale mayhem in the first to spooky horsebound horror in the second. St. Nick cuts a pretty imposing figure mounted on horseback, clad in regal red robes with a towering same-colored headpiece. His attacks, accompanied by Moss's unsubtle but effective score. Contributing his own music isn't the only way the writer-director echoes John Carpenter here. The villain's present-day arrival is heralded by a boat-bound scene straight out of The Fog. And once we've been introduced to the modern young protagonists, we follow three of the girls on a walk home from school, and one of them to a job babysitting a little boy who's fearful of a bad man he spots outside his window. And it's hard not to think about that original holiday terror classic Halloween. There's even a Dr. Loomis character of sorts, Kurt Hoekstra. They kept calling him Kurt. Is that the pronunciation?
Kurt?
Kurt. That's what I kept the English.
I think that's the English one. Yeah.
It's Gert, though, is the way it's spelled. Gert.
Yeah.
A detective who's got a very good reason to fear St. Nicholas. Knows he's coming, but can't convince any of the other cops of the danger. As the evil bishop and his Peters stab and slash their way through the snowy night, the focus shifts rather awkwardly from Lisa, who at first seems like she's being set up as the Sint's final girl, to Frank, one of her friends who finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time and winds up on the run. What makes Sint worthwhile is the Sint himself, brought to the screen by Maas with both atmosphere, including a great creepy shot in a hospital, and moments of thrilling kinetic movement. The visual effects of St. Nicholas on his steed galloping across the Amsterdam rooftops are quite striking, and one of these sequences culminates in a great large-scale physical gag involving a police car. There are plenty of gore effects too, and slasher fans will revel in the fact that Sint drenches the screen in a level of bloodshed not seen in many American fright films of an equivalent profile. It's a shame that Maas hasn't invested the same level of invention into his nice characters that he has into his naughty ones. But Sint still kicks the sleigh bells off like the likes of Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I agree. I agree with that, especially that last part. That he should have spent more time maybe on the good characters instead of the bad ones.
Yeah, it did look, he's right. It did look like Lisa was going to be a more prominent character, and then nothing happens with her.
And then he made that whole thing comparison to Halloween. I'm like, oh my God, that is so right. Because
yeah, it is.
They're walking home from school, just like Lori and the other girls walking home from school, talking about
boys,
Halloween and boys,
and babysitting.
Saint Nicholas knocked her in babysitting. I thought it was a good review. I had another one I didn't even read, but after reading that one, I was like, nope, I don't need to read the other one. All right, Karen, are you ready to get into it?
Yep. Let's go before you finish that drink.
I know you got to keep stirring it as the spices start to settle to the bottom.
Oh, that's why I started to taste more cinnamon, because I've got a straw in it.
All right, Saint or Sint or St. Nicholas or whatever, 2010. The first thing we see, we both watched it on Amazon, right?
Yes.
And if if our listeners would like to watch it, there's a link in the show notes where if you click on that link and watch it, we might make a penny.
We could get a penny.
Maybe not a penny each, but we may be able to split a penny, Karen, between the two of us.
I look forward to it.
One day we'll be rolling in pennies.
Only if you guys go and watch it through the link.
All right. The first thing that comes up on the screen is this film includes language and or cultural stereotypes that are inconsistent with today's standards of inclusion and tolerance and may offend some viewers. I don't even know why they had to put that in there.
It's the Black Pete's.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
That's what it is. And
I got it. Because,
it's a big
friends are putting
controversy.
on blackface. And okay. I get it now.
And just the fact that they're Black Pete's, they're Moors or whatever. So it's...
Well, they're actually... The legend is they are black because they come down the chimney. And that's how they get black.
That's not what it says here. It's they're Moors and from Spain.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it could be, but we'll
Probably
get
a
to
little
that.
both.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But
all right. And it's rated 18 plus, boys and girls. More words to read, Karen. Your parents have told you that he doesn't exist. Then we have a big S on the screen. Credits.
it makes the sword sound, and then you hear dripping.
Yeah, it's an S, like it's kind of on the end of his staff.
Yes.
So it's a very fancy looking S with sharp edges.
Yes, very sharp.
Then we have credits. Then we see a ship on a water, a schooner, apparently. We learn later.
Mm-hmm.
It's a full moon. They make that clear. And we begin panning through a forest or a wooded area. Then we have more words. 1492 AD, 5 December. So we see a gang of men and a saint enter a town. Right here I wrote, looks like the saint has an upside down cross on his hat. And the men began stealing things left out for Saint Nicholas. Or Krampus, I wrote.
He's Nicholas. I don't know. But yeah, they've left things outside in their shoes.
Yes.
Gold and silver and anything they could, they put out. But it doesn't seem to make any difference.
No, the men just take it.
Well, and they just start wreaking havoc.
Yeah, so I wrote, my next thing is murder and mayhem, Karen.
Yes. So apparently they put these things out as offerings for St. Nicholas, who is then supposed to, I would assume, pass them by because they've done this, and it doesn't seem to make any difference. They've done it, and he still lets everybody murder and steal and grab children in bags.
Then they put a note on a door, nail a note to a door. And once the men and the saint leave, the townsfolk come out and they read the note, and it says, gold, silver, pigs, meats, wax, virgins, and servants. Nicholas.
That's what it's like.
What he's demanding.
Well, but it seems
apparently.
Like that's what he took.
Oh, is that what he took?
I don't know. I didn't know if it was an inventory of what he took or what he was demanding, but it seemed like that's what they put out. Well, they put out gold and silver.
Any virgins.
No, they put out all of the other things. They put out meat and gold and silver and wax, but he wasn't happy, I guess.
And the townsfolk burn the note. You can tell they're pissed.
Yeah, because he didn't accept what they gave him. He took stuff anyway.
So then we see men on the beach eating and drinking.
They're
dark.
The lookouts.
It's nighttime.
Yeah, right? They're the lookouts, I think.
Angry townsfolk arrive with their torches and pitchforks, and they attack the men.
Mob mentality is taken over.
They set fire to the schooner in the bay, I guess, and watch it burn with Nicholas on board.
And we do see him burning.
Words to read, Karen, 1968. 85 December. You remember 1968 December, Karen?
No. So they keep saying 5 December. So that is known as St. Nicholas Day.
It's also Krampus knock, though. Yes.
It's the eve of the day. So that's
St. Nicholas feast is that evening or something, right?
Starting on the 5th of December, the eve of the day, by sharing candies, chocolate letters, small gifts and riddles. Children put out their shoes with carrots and hay for the saint's horse the evening prior, hoping St. Nicholas would exchange them for small gifts. In Belgium and the Netherlands, which is where this takes place, a fellow dressed as St. Nicholas would arrive by ship on December 6th and ride a white horse through
December
the towns,
6th.
handing out gifts. Yeah, the 5th is the night before.
Okay. Yeah, so that's Krampus. Nacht is December 5th.
It was the Dutch pronunciation of his name, Sinterklaas, as well as the Dutch traditions that made their way to America. So I think it's the night before. It's like Christmas Eve. So St. Nicholas Day is the 6th, but it starts on the 5th. Kind of like you prepare for Santa's arrival with the cookies and all that stuff the night before. And some of them things start earlier. Like some of the traditions have St. Nicholas arriving mid-November and doing all these things and then leaving on the 6th to go back to Spain. So I don't really know, but we're right in the thick of it on the 5th and 6th. Right. It's the night before on the 5th, I think.
And we see kids leaving treats for St. Nicholas again.
Singing.
In their shoes. And Kurt, I don't know. I'm going to call him Kurt the whole time, probably, mostly, because that's what they started calling him. So that's why I started calling him. He is sent out by his father to check on the pigs.
Yeah, the pigs start squealing, and the father's watching a TV show that looks like What's My Line or something, because there's 3 St. Nicholases, and you're supposed to guess which one's the real one.
To tell the truth
or something. Yeah. I said number 3. I think he did too.
He did too.
I go, ooh, number 3 looks the best. But he sends Kurt out because the pigs are making noise. Obviously, they live on a farm homestead.
And then one by one, his siblings are sucked up the chimney.
While he's out. They show him trying to calm the pigs. His flashlight stops working, all that stuff. But yeah, is there 3 girls or 2? 2? There are 3 of them?
A boy and 2 girls, I think.
Okay.
His family is attacked by the Peets, the Black Peets. Kurt hides and sees Nicholas on the rooftop of his house.
Yeah, he's coming back in and he sees, and he hides, but he watches him. And that was a cool shot. St. Nicholas is on the white horse, and the horse does a lot of...
Well, it's a pale white horse, Gary. It's more gray.
What do you call it when they lift?
Rear?
Yeah, rears up. I don't know how that happened on the roof, but whatever. But it's a cool image.
So then Kurt enters his house and finds his family massacred. And then there's a jump scare for Mom from behind.
Yeah.
In her last dying action, she scares her son.
Blood everywhere and the house is destroyed.
More words, Karen. Amsterdam. Present day. 5 December. And it looks like we're in a college.
I hope it's a college.
Students opening their presents from St. Nick. And apparently the students have gotten each other gag gifts, ? I wrote, because lots of dildos in the classroom.
Yeah. It seems like a Secret Santa kind of exchange where you don't know what you're getting, but you drew names.
And then apparently I wrote, a girl breaks up with her boyfriend, Frank, via giving him a gift. And I guess there's poems they have to read with the gift too or something.
Yeah, I guess you're supposed to. Lots of people are writing poems.
Hello, boys and girls. You know, doing a podcast can be thirsty work. Lucky for you, we have all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want to see how each drink is made, hit up our YouTube channel, Scary Spirits Podcast, and watch me play bartender. I show you how to make every themed drink. Now, back to the show.
So then we see girls leaving, and they discuss how since it's a full moon that tonight is like the bad night for St. Nick. He's going to kill them all. And they're discussing boys' friends, and we learned that the girl that broke up with Frank was already messing around with another guy and whatever.
Another girl.
Yeah, another girl.
Oh, no. You're right.
Yeah,
another girl who was breaking up. So Sophia, I think. She broke up with Frank, but she already has another boyfriend from Oh, Sophie from yoga class, and Frank was with someone else. So obviously they were not meant to be together.
No.
And no one's all that broken up about it.
But what Sophie doesn't know is that the other girl that Frank was with was Lisa, who is her friend, which we find out
Yes.
right now. Because they all go their separate ways, and Lisa walks home, and Frank scares her as she's walking home, and we learn they had a fling.
But she was drunk.
Yeah, but Frank wants to explore the relationships more, Karen. Wants to see where this goes.
Lisa asks, why didn't you just break up with Sophie if you were so miserable? And Frank says, have you seen Sophie naked? I was like, that's a rude thing to say to another girl. And he starts pressuring her. That's when he wants to explore their possibilities.
Yep, but she pretty much sends him home.
Yeah, and he's very annoyed that she won't put out for him. And he calls her a bitch.
I think he's really hurt.
He calls her a bitch and leaves.
I felt sorry for Frank.
I didn't then. I said, he just leaves. And I wrote, he's a dick.
All right. So then we see Kurt, and who is now a policeman, and he goes to his desk and finds a present. He shoots it full of bullets and wine spills out. But it does look like blood. It's a very thick red liquid, I thought. So then his supervisor comes in. I don't know if he's the chief or whatever. I was calling him the supervisor. I don't know how that police shit works over there.
Yeah, I called him the chief, but.
And Kurt wants to prohibit St. Nicholas activities on December 5th. His supervisor tells him to take the month off. He doesn't want to see him again until January. He kind of thinks he's a nut, but he knows his history.
He says, yeah, you can't change it now. And he does know his history. And I'm surprised he doesn't make him take off every St. Nicholas Day.
Well, when there's a full moon.
Well, anytime. You would think it would be a reminder whether there was a full moon or not.
So next we see some policemen on a boat. It looks like they're stranded in the middle of the river in the fog.
Yes.
And on the radar, it appears that something is approaching quickly. And they keep trying to call for help, but they can't get through, right, on the radio.
Yeah, the electric is wonky.
And then they are rammed by an old ship.
Very quickly.
Apparently the schooner. And that's a good shot. I thought that was a good shot.
It is, yeah.
It's kind of a jump scare.
It comes so quickly, yeah.
So then apparently Frank is going to play St. Nicholas, I guess at a sorority or something.
Apparently he makes money doing it.
Yeah.
Because he's called Lisa to apologize.
He's a giver.
And he says he doesn't want to be St. Nicholas
He's doing
anymore.
it for the children, Karen.
And then she says, well, you won't earn any money then. So he makes money doing it.
But as he's getting ready, his mother wheels in because she's in a wheelchair and asks him not to go. Apparently she's a tarot card reader or something.
He makes fun of her, but she says she doesn't have a good feeling about it.
She doesn't feel well. She thinks that's bad. She doesn't want him to go, but he does.
And she tells him, don't get drunk like last year. I couldn't clean the beard well enough. So he must have gotten sick. He was so drunk.
It's for the children, Karen. Next we see tourist taking a tour of Amsterdam. See a little of the red light district there, Karen?
Yeah, you want to know about the red light district?
Oh, I would love to know about the red light district, Karen.
How it's all the church's fault?
Of course.
Okay, so the red light district, you probably know, is named for the neon red lights that outline the windows and doors where women in lingerie lounge provocatively and flirt with potential customers. It's world-renowned for its legal prostitution and colorful sex workers in the window displays. So there are 3 red light districts in Amsterdam. The most famous one is known as De Wallen, located near the city center. And it covers more than 17 alleys and streets and includes more than 200 window brothels with plenty more sex workers. And there are 2 other smaller red light districts. So when did the red light district start in Amsterdam? Dating back to the Middle Ages, prostitution in Amsterdam is as old as the city, beginning when visiting sailors and local widows arrived at a mutual understanding when it comes to having sex for money. In the 14th and 15th centuries, only a third of sailors would return home safely, and church laws wouldn't allow the wives left behind to remarry. That meant that many
It's all
Dutch
the
women...
church's fault, Karen.
Exactly. That's what I told you. That meant that many Dutch women were left without an income, desperately seeking ways to support their families. Foreign sailors docking in Amsterdam would wander the cobblestone streets near the harbor searching for entertainment, and these women were happy to offer companionship for a price. Even though that's what the red light district is mostly associated with, there are bars, restaurants, and live shows and strip clubs. There's even a museum of prostitution if you were so interested.
I love museums.
You'd read a lot of those plaques. The Dutch government officially legalized prostitution in 2000, recognizing brothels as legal businesses and allowing prostitutes to be legal sex workers if they register at the Chamber of Commerce as independent contractors and rent their own window spaces from licensed brothel owners. So now there's not illegal sex brothels there anymore. I've seen it. Have you seen it? The red light district? I was there.
No, hell no.
I was there in the daytime, though, so it was not nearly as exciting.
I'd have to fly, Karen. I ain't going there.
No.
Not even for the legal weed.
Not even for the Museum of Prostitution?
No.
Yes, that's something else when it says a coffee shop, especially in that area, it's not coffee or lattes.
No.
That's where you get your legal weed.
Yep. And during the tour, we learn a little bit more about St. Nick and the Black Pete's. The next we see Kurt at a bar, and he's telling the bartender about St. Nicholas. And he says December 5th was the day he was killed. It's not his birthday.
Everyone thinks it's his birthday, but it isn't. He was horribly murdered, and he comes back on that day. And the bartender says he comes back on a boat from Spain with the boat full of presents for the kids. So I'd never heard of that.
I hadn't either. I didn't understand why they kept bringing up Spain.
So Sinterklaas is Saint Nick. If the children were good, they would get presents. If they were bad, they would get whipped. And if they were really bad, they'd be put in bags and brought back to Spain, which is what they say on the tour.
They do.
And why does Sinterklaas come from Spain? Possibly because in 1087, half of St. Nicholas's relics were transported to the Italian city of Bari, which later formed part of the Spanish kingdom of Naples. I wonder if transported means stolen. I don't know. But St. Nicholas lives in Spain and sails to the Netherlands every year, this is where it says, arriving in mid-November and departing after the feast of St. Nicholas. He arrives by steamboat, which someone mentions also, at different ports in the Netherlands. I don't really know what happens in Spain, but that's apparently where he lives. I guess he's a snowbird. He goes to Spain and then only comes back the one day.
So next we see Frank and his friends getting into costume for the children because Frank's going to be St. Nicholas and his two buddies are going to be Black Pete's.
And they are doing blackface, which is probably what the original warning was. So then I looked up the Black Pete's. They're the companions of St. Nicholas. And the earliest known illustration of the character comes from an 1850 book by an Amsterdam school teacher, Jan Schenkman, in which he depicted, meaning the Black Pete's were depicted as a blackamoor from Spain. They do put on blackface and colorful Renaissance attire in addition to curly wigs and bright red lipstick, which is what these kids were wearing. They distribute candy to well-behaved children and punish the others. And it says the punishment part fell out of use in the 1960s, which seemed a little late for me, but whatever. And this is where it says the character has become increasingly controversial since the early 2010s. You might be right that they come down the chimney and get the soot on them, which is part of it. But the original character was a Moor from Spain, a black Moor from Spain. So
then we see back in the river, another police boat finds the remains of the other boat.
The original police boat. Yeah. And it's in pieces, tiny little pieces.
Cut back to Frank and his friends, and they leave in their costumes. Cut to Kurt driving through the town. He seems to be a little on edge, Karen.
Yes, he does.
He hears children screaming. He's all herky and jerky. He's ready to jump into action. But no, it's just kids being kids, Karen, excited for St. Nicholas. So then we're back to Sophie's house. I think it's her house.
Yeah, I think that's her brother. I think
do
she
too.
said she had to babysit her little brother.
Yeah. So she puts logs in the fireplace and lights it.
Yeah, she goes outside. So it's a little tense because while Kurt's driving around, we do see a black hand grasp a chimney in the distance. Like you see the hand, it's close up, but we're looking far away. So it's a depth of field thing. So we know there's something around. And then we see Sophie go outside, get some wood, and then go back in.
And it looks like we might be having the view from someone watching her.
Yes, from outside.
That's the way it's filmed. She gets her logs, goes back in, puts them in the fireplace, lights it, and some soot falls down from the chimney. And Sophie's little brother screams. She runs up there and he says he's scared. And he wants to know if he's been bad because he doesn't get presents on St. Nicholas night or whatever. And Sophie tells him, no, he doesn't get presents because they don't celebrate St. Nicholas Day, because it's just a commercial thing. They don't believe in that shit, Karen.
Yeah, he says that Jasper at school taught him that all naughty children get put in a bag by St. Nicholas and taken to Spain. They say it again. And she says, well, that's nice. We'll finally get rid of Jasper because he'll be taken to Spain. Yeah. But yeah, she goes on about the commercial aspect of it.
Cut back to Frank and his friends, and they are having a hard time getting to where they're going because of road construction, apparently. Their GPS sucks, I guess. Cut back to Sophie's brother. He gets out of bed and looks out the window. He thinks he sees something across the way, Karen. He takes out his little binoculars and looks. The kid doesn't see anything. So then he exhales on the glass of his window, creating like a fog right on the window. And then he draws a smiley face. And then we cut from the outside and see his face inside the smiley face.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That was. Then we cut back to inside, and a man with an axe pops up in the window outside his room. Another startle scare. Did you jump, Karen?
I did, but I knew it was coming.
So then Sophie calls Lisa on the phone, and they're talking about their homework and whatnot. And Sophie's helping Lisa with her poem.
Lisa has to write poems for her family. That's part of their tradition for St. Nicholas. Wouldn't that be nice? You have to write me a poem. I can only imagine what it would say. Something about Nantucket, probably.
Or Peru. Then Lisa hears screams on the other end of the phone, and she runs to Sophie's house.
Yeah, they're neighbors.
She gets there and the power is out, Karen. She finds Sophie's cell phone by the fireplace. She picks it up and Sophie falls down the chimney.
That got me too.
Go back to Frank and his friends, lost. Keep running into dead ends, apparently. One of his friends, the guy who's driving, gets out of the car because he's got to take a piss or whatever.
And they do smell something burning.
They smell something burning.
Which
guy in the back seat says, you smell something burning?
Consistent through the whole movie.
Then St. Nicholas and the Pete's arrive. One of Frank's friends, the guy in the back seat, sticks his head out to yell at the other guy who was driving, and he's stabbed right through the mouth, Karen, right from the back.
I thought that was pretty inventive too. So they're waiting. Good. The guy is peeing.
Like I say, these stabbings and everything are pretty good.
They are tired of waiting for him.
Decapitations and all that stuff's not great.
They put the music on, of course, so then they can't hear what's happening because they turn on loud music. And the guy's like, what is taking him so long? He sticks his head out to yell for his friend.
Yeah, I thought for sure he was going to be decapitated.
Yeah, but that was better.
But what it was immediate. Was better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the guy in the Frank's in the front seat turns around. His friend's gone. Like he's pulled out of the car because he had loud music on. We're supposed to believe he didn't hear it. So now his friends just disappeared. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. So I wrote, he gone. And then his body is thrown on the hood of the car. Yes. And Frank goes out there and his other friend's head rolls towards him. So Frank gets out of the car and starts fighting with the Pete's.
With the fake staff that he has. But I'm like, get in the car. Get in the car. Last long.
So eventually he jumps into the car and drives away, slicing one of them in two and running over another or a few.
Yeah, I didn't know a Porsche would drive that well in the snow.
Somebody was in a Porsche?
I think so.
You sure?
It's a sports car for
Well,
sure.
I'll get there. I have a note. I said the Pete's hang on to the car and keep attacking and chasing him, and he speeds away. And right here I wrote, they must have cars that are good in the snow over there in Holland. Because I did notice later, like the cops are in Chevrolets, and there's an Audi. I see an Audi later. I don't know. I don't know what he was driving. So then Frank is stopped by the police.
Yeah, I don't know how they knew where he was. Like all of a
They
sudden,
kept saying they had reports of man on horseback dressed as a saint. So I guess people were seeing shit.
but that's not where Frank was. Oh, yes, he did have. Okay, you're right. Yeah, because Saint Nicholas was there.
Yes,
we see him there.
So then they take Frank to the police station. He's being questioned. And then we see Lisa on the other side of the two-way glass there, or the two-way mirror with her mom. And she's being questioned as well about Frank's relationship with Sophie. And eventually Lisa's mom has had enough and she says, good day, we are leaving.
Well, yeah, because obviously they found they've called the police about Sophie and they're trying to figure out who killed Sophie. And Sophie,
no one has said she's dead yet.
Well, they know.
Who knows?
They've gone. Lisa saw her, so obviously it was reported.
Lisa knows. Yeah.
Yeah, so she must have. They called the police, and that's why they're
Frank
questioning
has no
her.
idea.
Frank doesn't know, but the police know, and they're saying, Sophie just broke up with you. Did that make you angry, Frank?
Right. Yeah.
Did you want to murder her? So they're trying to say that he murdered Sophie and her little brother, and he doesn't know anything about it.
But then as they're questioning, he finally realizes, wait a minute, what about her brother?
Right.
So then we cut to the cop who was questioning Lisa, telling the supervisor, the same supervisor that we saw earlier, I don't know, chief, whatever, captain, that they think Frank is the murderer and he was dressed as St. Nicholas. But the supervisor seems suspicious because he finds it hard to believe that this one kid could do all this.
Right. He asks, has he confessed? And they said no.
Yeah, have any witnesses? No. So anyway, the police supervisor tells the guy, send in Van Dyke. Is that his name? Is that what you said?
Yeah. And the investigator's like, ooh, Van Dyke.
Yeah,
really?
I don't know what his deal is.
I don't know what that is, and he does sit down and starts to read the report on St. Nicholas that Kurt left him.
Yeah, and then Van Dyke enters and the police supervisor tells him to go get Kurt and tells him to be discreet. Cut to the children's hospital pediatric ward because that's in the notes he's reading in the book. And we see a nurse making her rounds, ? I wrote.
Which this is kind of mean. Like, these aren't bad children. They're sick children. I mean, not that sick children couldn't have been bad at some point, but this is pretty low to go to the pediatric. I guess
all children are good, Karen.
Trying to find the highest concentration.
Jesus said, let all the children come to me.
I just thought, wow, I know that's a high concentration of children. That's pretty low to go into the pediatric ward.
So we see the nurse making her rounds. She gets a call, I guess, from her daughter or her husband or whatever, but puts her daughter on the phone and she has a present there. And we see a Pete behind her. She begins opening her gift left for her by St. Nicholas or her boyfriend or whatever, her husband. And it appears to be jewelry, Karen. Shiny jewelry.
Yep.
Then she sniffs like she might be smelling something burning, and the lights go out. I've learned already that's not good.
Right. And she's looking at her coffee maker like, did she not unplug it or something?
And then she walks out into the hallway and finds some soot or ashes, I wrote, in the hallway. And then she's startled by a security guard because she, of course, called and said, hey, the power's out on here, the whole floor. And he begins to follow the trail of soot and ashes down the hallway and around the corner. The nurse leaves and comes back with a dustpan.
She's going to clean it up.
She's going to clean it up. And the security guard's flashlight rolls into the hallway. This is a good scene, too.
I thought that was good.
And then she is picked up from above by her head And we cut and we see the doors open to the children's wing and lots of Froggy's fog, and St. Nicholas enters. And at first, the children are very excited.
Yes, because it's St. Nicholas.
But then not so much.
No. Then they get a look at him. So the two doors open. There's this light behind him. He's on his horse. It's really cool. They're all
Foggy.
excited. The wind's blowing. Everything's great. And then it's not.
Then we cut to Frank being taken to jail in a police car.
And he wants a lawyer or his mom or someone.
Then we cut to Van Dyke and his men. Apparently they're at Kurt's apartment.
Yes, which looks like a man who's doing research.
Yeah, he seems obsessed with St. Nicholas, I wrote. Then as the men are taking Frank to jail, they get reports on the radio of police chasing a man in a red cape on a horse across rooftops. So they go and
It's right near them.
they're in pursuit. They join the chase and they engage in St. Nicholas and they start firing shots at him from the vehicle.
Well, the one starts shooting him and the other guys, but it's St. Nick. Be us like shooting Santa, I guess, but it's St. Nick. Well, he shoots him. He does hit the horse.
Yeah. So the opera hits the horse and St. Nicholas and the horse fall through a skylight of a building.
And there's a stupid joke there.
Yeah. Eventually the floor caves in, the horse falls down, and eventually lands on top of the police car that Frank is in.
Yes. So takes out the two policemen in the front, smashes. So the horse smashes the car.
Yep.
But Frank is able to leave out the back.
Yeah. But the horse ain't quite dead yet, Karen, I wrote.
No, he's reborn.
Frank escapes the car and the horse walks away and picks up St. Nicholas. Frank grabs the policeman's gun and fires several shots right into St. Nicholas. It doesn't appear to affect him, Karen.
Doesn't work.
He picks up Frank with his staff because he's
by the handcuffs. Yeah, that was funny.
Picks him up. And then a man with a flamethrower arrives and forces Nicholas away.
And Frank passes out.
Yeah. So next we see Frank. I guess he's comes to on the boat, and he's with Kurt. And Kurt tells Frank that bullets won't hurt St. Nicholas. Only fire can hurt him. Basically tells him, I saved your life, punk. Then Kurt pulls over to a dock and says, hey, all right, get out. Try to stay in crowds. Don't go into any dark alleys. You'll be fine.
He kind of tells him that, it's a full moon, so he's coming to kill us all, too.
But it turns out that Kurt needs Frank's help to get the boat motor running properly because it stalls. And we did see Frank earlier working on his scooter, so he might know something about motors.
He knows something about engines, I think, or motors.
So Kurt agrees to let Frank help him, but Kurt has one condition. So apparently Kurt wants to know everything about this story.
Well, and come along because he's still in the boat now.
So Kurt tells Frank the story about how his family was massacred and that St. Nicholas won't be happy until all of Amsterdam is massacred.
Yes.
We cut to the police investigating the scene where the horse fell on top of the police car. Police supervisor isn't buying the story that it's St. Nicholas. Back on the boat.
He's like, did a satellite fall from the sky? He's trying to come up with anything. What happened here?
Back on the boat, Kurt telling Frank all about the evidence he's found about St. Nicholas. And they share a bottle of Jameson, Karen.
Yes, they do. So he says the Catholic Church isn't happy with the myth around St. Nicholas, that he's based on a murdering apostate bishop. So I didn't know what apostate meant, but it does mean he's abandoned or renounced the religion.
Kurt plans on blowing up St. Nicholas's schooner precisely at midnight, because that's when they all have to be back on board, all the Petes. So then Frank calls Lisa on her
tells her
2009 cell phone.
Yes, tells her where he is. He's on a boat.
He warns her that whatever she does to stay inside. Just then the police arrive and they want to talk to Lisa. Go back to the boat. Kurt cuts the engine to the boat. He smells something.
Burning, yes.
So they see one of the officers from the boat that wrecked earlier in the river on I wrote a lifesaver.
Yes, a ring.
A ring.
But it's 11:30, so they have a half. So at this point, it's 11:30. They have a half an hour, and they're about to pull the guy out of the water when a police boat arrives.
Yeah, another police boat pulls up, and the officer in the river sinks.
Yes, immediately. So
Kurt and Frank are arrested and put onto the police boat. I guess they're taking him in and towing Kurt's boat behind them. And
I thought why are they doing that? Towing the boat full of explosives, which they know is there. They've seen it.
They know. And they find that a barrier apparently to an old harbor has been broken. Like they've never, what is that? I've never seen that before. I don't know. They don't patrol this freaking river every night.
I don't think they've seen it broken before is what they mean.
Whatever. So they go to investigate.
They think it might be smugglers.
Yeah. They go to investigate.
And the young kid is like, the young kid of the three of them seems to be the smartest one. He's like, should we be towing these explosives? And they're like, it'll be fine. And then they say,
don't throw a cigarette out there.
Yeah. And then, wow, let's go look for the smugglers. And the kid's like, shouldn't we take these guys in first and then go? No, it'll be fine.
And of course, now they are unable to reach the headquarters via the radio too.
And they smell something burning.
And then a large object shows up on their radar and power starts going out on the boat. Now, we've seen this before now, Karen.
Yes.
They find the schooner. Kurt tries to tell them to turn around and go back, but they refuse. Pull up to the schooner, and they begin hearing what appears to be the cries of children on the boat, Karen.
So this is where I'm wondering, are there children on the boat?
I think there probably are.
So in a few minutes here, that's kind of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know if it was some sort of illusion so that they wouldn't do anything.
I wasn't sure. I went both ways, but the men aren't on the boat now. So I don't know how they would be making that illusion, but they are magical.
Well, I don't know if it was, if it was some sort of spell around the boat that you would hear the kids crying.
But then the men are attacked by the Peets. Ramming one through, cutting off the arm of another.
Body parts everywhere, I just said.
The man driving the boat is run through, but gets off a bunch of machine gun rounds, hitting a bunch of the Peets. That's pretty.
So the Peets are affected by bullets.
Pretty good choreographed.
Yeah, it was good.
I wrote they don't seem to do any good. Peets don't stop coming.
Well, there's just so many of them, it seems like. But they do slow down after being shot or being arms ripped off or being cut in half or whatever. They are affected. Well, even the horse took a few minutes to rebound. So maybe they do. Only Saint Nick doesn't even respond to the bullets, but the horse took a little minute. And I think the Peets take a little bit of time. They may come back, but.
So Kurt takes control of the boat.
Well, he gets the keys for the handcuffs first off of one of the policemen and frees them both.
He shoots one of the Peets in the mouth with a flare gun, causing his head to explode. Then he ends up crashing the boat at a dock.
Yes, he doesn't look so good.
No, he keeps holding his chest or his side too. Like there's something going on there. And then I wrote, it looks like there's like what we would call a SWAT team looking for them or something.
Yes.
Like special forces, SWAT team. I don't know. Kurt wants to continue his mission of blowing up the schooner. He has a remote detonator, Karen. And he's
just going to ride the boat and kill himself. Like go in. That's what his plan was. Yeah.
He tells Frank how to hook it up for him. And Kurt sets the timer for 4 minutes. And then Kurt tells Frank that, because of course Frank says, well, how are you going to jump off the boat? You're not going to have time. And Kurt says he wasn't planning on jumping off. He's just going to ram it and kamikaze it, Karen.
Go see his family.
So then Kurt collapses.
He passes out, I thought.
Frank goes to him and finds that he is wounded, has a chest wound.
And we have 3 minutes left now. He's looking at Kurt to see what's wrong. And now I'm like, you have 3 minutes left.
And then he has a plan. He divides, there's a light bulb goes off in his head, Karen.
Ping.
He has a plan that he's going to somehow push the boat towards the schooner And I wrote, he finds some flammable liquid or something and is going to create a fuse going to the boat. I didn't understand what he was doing here, but whatever. But he's stopped by the SWAT team. Then the Pete's attack, and St. Nick decapitates one of them.
One of the SWAT teams, not the Pete's.
Frank hides underneath I wrote a lifeboat, it looked like, or a small boat, whatever. He takes a flare, lights it, and throws it at Kurt's boat, igniting the flammable liquid, which Frank put on there, propelling the boat into the schooner, and it explodes. St. Nicholas rides off on his horse, his pale white horse. Frank looks at the schooner from binoculars.
So heat sensing binoculars. So when they saw it before, they could see the Pete's going on and off, I think. But now there's nothing there.
Yeah. And then Kurt grabs him from behind. Startle scare. Did you jump? Kurt grabbed him from behind and asked if they got him.
Not Kurt. That's the
Kurt.
Oh, was it? I thought it was the investigator with the long hair.
No, it was Kurt.
No.
Asks him if they got him. Frank tells him they did, and then Kurt collapses. He gone this time, I think. So then Van Dyke arrives and says that St. Nicholas night is really nice, but you always get junk you didn't need.
Another silly joke.
That was pretty good. It was a good line, though, because he's got to deal with all this shit now.
Frank's in the hospital and he's visiting him.
Now, that's next. Well, we learned that the police are going to pin everything on Kurt.
Yeah.
We see Frank watching news reports from the hospital. We did see the police supervisor meeting with the mayor, and they're working up a way to cover it up or whatever.
It almost sounded like the mayor knew about it. Because he asked how many were dead, and the police chief says about 300. He says that's more than 42 years ago. Make it an acceptable total. And they start having these tragedies happen.
Yeah. Coincidental tragedies.
Yeah.
But the killer was Kurt.
Yeah, for the other ones, for the number that they can get it down to. I mean, one man can't be responsible for 300 murders. So they had to get it down to a reasonable number where they could blame Kurt.
So we see Franken watching all these news reports from the hospital. You know, he knows it's all bullshit. And then Van Dyke enters Frank's room and he tries.
I guess he's the fixer. I would call him the fixer, Van Dyke.
Yeah. Cleaner, fixer, whatever you want to call him. He tries to talk Frank into helping with the cover up. He says he will try to clear Kurt's name. And he hands Frank an envelope containing money from the mayor. He suggests that maybe his mom could get some surgery or something.
Some treatment in Switzerland. So it's hush money. It's bribes.
So I don't know. What's the currency in Holland?
I don't know. I couldn't tell how much it was.
It was 50,000. But 50,000 what?
Back in 20.
Well, I mean, what's their currency? I don't even know what it is.
Isn't it euros? I
don't know. I thought it was marks that's Germany, but now it may be euros, but I don't know if it was in 2010. Okay, so currently Holland uses the euro, 50,000 euros. Any idea what 50,000 euros in 2010 is worth in today's money, Karen?
In today's money?
Yeah.
No, what is it worth?
It's the equivalent of 70,681 euros.
Decent. Especially if they're going to pay for the treatment of his mother. It's a big cover up by the mayor. He knew that this was going to happen.
Yep. You know how much that is in dollars?
Probably pretty close. It depends on the year. It goes up and down.
I'm saying right now, 70,681 euros is equivalent to how many dollars right now?
I don't know, 50,000.
77,083.
Oh, it's more.
Yeah, it's a little more. So there you go. So it's the equivalent of $77,000, basically. Then he sets the envelope on the table next to him in his hospital room, and he's attacked by a Pete, Karen.
Yep.
Strangled. And he fights back, and he finds that it is Lisa he's fighting with. And she says, "You were asleep and having a nightmare."
So was the check still on the nightstand there?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Okay.
And then Lisa asks Frank if he will ever tell her what really happened. He says he might, otherwise She will find out in 23 years on the next full moon on December 5th.
That seems like a short amount of time. You would see 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime, and you wouldn't notice. I mean, if a
Murder and mayhem.
murder and mayhem by a man on a horse that runs across rooftops in Cincinnati every 23 years, you don't think that?
But I think
you
that
would notice.
These kids are 23. They're about that age, probably.
I'm talking about as a whole.
Yeah.
The city as a whole. Wouldn't they be prepared? Like after it happens
the mayor
twice
in his little speech says something about something like that.
But if that happened twice in your lifetime, you would be like, no one's going out on St. Nicholas Day. You would think your grandparents would have the story, your parents would have a story, you would have it's too short of a time. 23 years.
Then Lisa says she has a present for him. And she says she will unwrap it for him. And then she crawls on top of him and takes off her sweater, Karen. We don't see any bare breasts, though, Karen.
Nope.
Just a bare back. And we pan out the window and we see St. Nicholas on top of a church spire. Zoom in on his face and then credits. The end. Yeah,
the whole part about with Lisa climbing on top of Frank, totally unnecessary.
Is it?
At that point, it's like, oh, we didn't put any sex in it. Crap. Okay, let's add it here. All right, cool.
It's not even sex, but whatever.
Well, it's about to be. It's in the insinuation of it. Although, if you're in the hospital, people are checking on you pretty regularly.
Yeah, especially if you got one of them little monitors hooked up to your heart rate.
Yeah, right.
It might escalate a little bit. Maybe.
And draw everybody in.
All right, what'd you think of the drink, Karen?
The drink's delicious.
It is delicious. Mine has evaporated.
I think I would like it too without the bourbon, but with just the hazelnut.
Fortunately, I have a little more as a
breakfast drink.
A nightcap. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
It'd be good with like some salted caramel in it too. maybe rim the glass with salted caramel. There you go. Anything we learned today, Karen?
Little bit about St. Nicholas Day, the red light district, the Black Pete's. I think that might be about it.
I wrote Sinterklaas.
Oh, yes.
The whole thing.
Yes.
Apostate bishops.
Oh, yes. An apostate. If you deny your faith, Greg.
And we learned how much money 50,000 euros.
True.
In 2010 is worth today. All right. Anything else? Or are we ready to move on to the next film?
Pick your poison. What's your next film?
Is it my choice?
It is.
Oh, okay. The film I've chosen is a Hammer film, Karen.
Shocking.
Called The Lodge.
The Lodge. What year is that from?
Good question, Karen. Usually we think of Hammer films as being older films, right? But this is a newer one from 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay. Why did you choose that one?
I think just because, I chose it just because it takes place in the winter, Karen.
And it's a Hammer film.
And it's a Hammer film, yeah.
Okay. Both of those are acceptable.
And it takes place during Christmas.
Okay.
So there you go. It's a Hammer film that takes place during Christmas. What more did you want?
I can't think of a thing, except maybe a drink.
Would you like a drink to enjoy?
I would.
Okay, well, the drink I've chosen is the Gaslight cocktail.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't it, though?
What are we going to need for that?
We're going to need ice cubes, a dash of orange curacao, Scotch whiskey, 1 ounce, a third an ounce sweet vermouth, and 2 dashes of whiskey, honey whiskey or honey liqueur, and an orange for garnish.
Sounds strong. There's no mixer in it.
Because it's all liquor, Karen.
Yeah.
You got ice cubes and an orange. Yeah, so we're going to fill our rocks glass with ice cubes, add all the ingredients, and garnish with an orange. There you go. It's called the Gaslight cocktail. Do you know what gaslighting is, Karen?
I'm very familiar,
okay.
Yes.
Well, once we watch this movie, you may say, oh, you're wicked clever. But we'll see. Maybe you won't.
I say that all the time, Greg. I don't know why next time would be any different.
Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, I'd like to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Karen, I need to once again thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast, or go to our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want the direct line, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. If you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, always drink responsibly. See you next week.